to go now from the theoretical to the, what's going on the Hill now to reality. Actually, these topics have been getting quite a bit of publicity and attention from politicians of both sides, which I think is a good thing. And you have competing proposals going on right now. So I wanted to get kind of a sense of how they compare with what the BPC was calling for in this paper. I mean, there's a very ambitious proposal on the Democratic side of new child credits, and Mitt Romney has proposed something conceptually similar. There are differences in the execution, but are those the sort of ideas that you were hoping would be forthcoming?
Yeah, so the child tax credit that you referenced, Bob, has certainly been is featured in our paper, and is become a center point for particularly the Democrats in the current relief negotiations. We have been working on developing a solution to the child tax credit so that we are able to provide the benefit to more low-income families. The current design of the child tax credit, because it phases in and is not fully refundable, excludes a lot of the lowest income children who would benefit most from it. And so a proposal that would expand the benefit for those children would help provide financial relief. I think what we've been working on, and I think what's important for a long-term policy, and keep in mind, what the Biden administration and what Democrats have proposed, these are just one-year solutions for the current crisis, but for durable long-term policy, there needs to be a holistic solution looking at all these tax credits that helps balance both providing financial relief with also continuing to design these credits in a way that supports and rewards work, which for the earned income tax credit, for instance, has been a pivotal piece of its long-term success and bipartisan support.
What, just to sort of drop back to the theoretical for a minute, you mentioned something that I think would take a lot of people by surprise, which is that this country really does have a very high rate of childhood poverty. It seems odd. Why is that?
Well, one of the reasons is that we do not provide the same level of supports to young children and young families. We're also one of the only developed countries without paid family leave, and we struggle to provide access to affordable childcare. These issues compound in over generations as well. One of the National Academy of Sciences has had a big child poverty report where they provided a series of recommendations to help lower child poverty. And one of the key findings of that report was that poverty creates poverty. So if you're a child born in poverty, you're more likely to end up in poverty. And so it's kind of a perpetual issue that this country faces, and solutions that help provide more resources to low-income families can help start to break that cycle.
One more question for me before I send it back to Chase. And this is more wearing my traditional fiscal hat, but we do a very good job on the back end of life with Medicare and Social Security, and that's done a lot to limit poverty among the elderly, which was a huge problem before those programs were created. And now we have childhood poverty and if some sort of, in effect, universal entitlement were created at the federal level for children, that's a sort of a balancing of looking to the future, investing in the future, investing in our children, but it does have a big cost. And so did you address the question, or do you just personal opinion or institutional opinion in implementing a large expansion like this? Should it be something that has a dedicated source of revenue as we do on the elderly programs, or just raising, should we try to offset it in some way?
Well, so Bob, I certainly agree with you that the long-term fiscal issues is something that needs to be not forgotten even in these current times. Like right now we are gonna have to continue to provide fiscal financial support.
Yeah, I'm talking post-pandemic.
Yeah, post-pandemic. Yeah, completely agree with you. And that's why, on the child tax credit, for instance, we're like BPC, we're probably not going to come out as far as big of an expansion as what we're seeing from the left and their centerpiece. But what's important is that's why it's important that when we're looking at the key elements for helping families, we think about these targeted solutions to help start creating progress, while at the same time, that will help create room for policymakers to begin addressing our long-term fiscal issues. So I agree with you that we need to make sure that any new expansion for long-term policy is paid for, and so that we're not making our fiscal outlook even worse than it is.